A christening meticulously planned with love, devotion, and the deep desire to protect the purest days of a royal child's life was meant to unfold in perfect peace. But at the exact moment the church bells rang out across the quiet fields of Norfolk, a media bombshell detonated across the Atlantic. Not a message of reconciliation, not a long overdue reflection, but a cold, emotionally charged accusation aimed directly at the heart of William and Kate. And just like that, the most sacred day of the Cambridge family was thrust into the eye of a public storm. The story was told with deliberate elegance, like a prosecution wrapped in tears and memory. But was it the truth, or a calculated move from a script written long ago? As Britain stood stunned and American media erupted with debate, Kate responded with the quietest yet most powerful form of resistant silence. Not surrender, but a wordless act of defiance. William made no attempt to hide his fury, as though someone had just crossed the final line. Then came a leaked handwritten letter, a confession from someone no one expected, and suddenly the pieces began to shift. Public opinion reeled, asking the one question no palace could answer: who's telling the truth and who's rewriting the past just to make sure their version gets heard? Under the radiant July sun, Anmere Hall, the tranquil haven of the Cambridge family, sparkles like a rare gem nestled in the heart of Norfolk's countryside. The air is filled with the sweet scent of lavender swaying in the summer breeze, mingling with the cheerful chirping of birds and the crystal-clear laughter of children echoing from the sprawling garden. Prince Louis, a 7-year-old with eyes twinkling like stars, bounds across the lawn chasing a rugby ball lobbed with playful precision by his older brother George. Charlotte, ever the poised big sister, giggles as she calls out, "Careful, Louis. Don't get your shirt dirty. Mummy won't be happy." William, in a rolled-up shirt and relaxed demeanor, stands amid the lush green grass, tossing the ball back and forth. With his kids, a rare smile lighting up his face, a fleeting moment of freedom where the weight of his royal duties seems to melt away in the summer glow. Inside the grand yet cozy Anmere Hall, the atmosphere shifts to one of meticulous care, order, and profound meaning. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, sits at a large desk in the drawing room, her gaze fixed on a stack of papers before her. Spread out are detailed plans for Louis's 7th birthday baptism, a sacred milestone, not just a religious rite, but a chance for the Cambridge family to reaffirm their timeless values and boundless love. With her signature perfectionism, Kate handpicks each hymn from the soul-stirring Amazing Grace to the timeless Be Thou My Vision, every melody a prayer for her son's future. She inspects every stitch on Louis's pristine white silk baptismal robe, ensuring it's flawless as if the garment were not merely clothing, but a symbol of purity and hope. Over the phone, she speaks with the clergy at St. Mary Magdalene in Sandringham, her voice firm yet gentle. "I want this ceremony to be intimate, just family and our closest loved ones. No pomp, no politics. For Kate, this baptism is more than a ritual. It's a sacred vow that Louis, her precious youngest child, will grow up enveloped in the warmth of family, shielded from the tempests of the outside world." She envisions her little boy dressed in white standing before the altar, candlelight dancing in his eyes, his innocent smile, a treasure she'll hold in her heart forever. Every decision, from the arrangement of pure white flowers on the altar to the tightly curated guest list of only a few trusted souls, is weighed with care, like an artist crafting a masterpiece for her son's special day. She wants Louis to remember this not as a royal spectacle, but as a warm family memory, a summer afternoon brimming with laughter, hugs, and untainted love. William, though more reserved, is no less devoted. He spends the morning roughhousing with the children, tossing the rugby ball and faking dramatic falls to spark peals of laughter from George and Louis. But when Kate seeks his input, he's there in an instant, his eyes soft with affection for his wife. "Whatever you want, I'm behind you," he says, his voice low but steady. Both agree this ceremony will stand apart, no grand royal affair where cameras and flashbulbs steal the show. They want Louis to cherish this as a private moment, feeling the love of his parents and siblings unburdened by political machinations or media pressure. Yet deep in William's heart, a faint unease lingers, the rift with his brother Harry. And Meghan has never fully healed, and he knows the public's eyes are always watching, waiting for the slightest misstep. But while Anmer Hall hums with quiet preparation, thousands of miles away, in a sleek, modern villa in Montecito, California, a starkly different plan is taking shape. Meghan Markle, who stepped away from her royal role in 2020, sits at a polished ebony desk, sunlight streaming through wide windows, casting sharp highlights across her determined face. Before her lies the final draft of a 2,500-word interview, meticulously crafted for Vanity Fair. She scans each line, each word, her lips pursed, as if measuring the impact of every syllable. This is no mere interview. It's a precise strike aimed at the heart of William and Kate's family, whom she believes cast her out of the royal fold with cold indifference and prejudice. Meghan knows Louis's baptism is more than a family event. It's a global stage, a golden opportunity to reclaim her place in the public eye and send a searing message to Kensington Palace she is not one to be forgotten. In her draft, she weaves a tale brimming with emotion. She knows this story, true or not, will shake the world, especially in America, where she's cultivated an image as a beacon of progress and justice. But beyond that, this is personal, a way to hit back at Kate, whom she's always felt orchestrated her exclusion from key royal moments. She recalls her days at Frogmore Cottage when she and Harry were still royals, and the brief, polite but frosty exchanges with Kate. She remembers the whispers behind her back, the sting of isolation in the very palace she once hoped would be home. "They think I'm defeated," Meghan murmurs to herself, her fingers grazing the final line of her draft. "But I'll show them I can still rewrite the narrative." As California sunlight pours through the window, she smiles a confident, enigmatic smile. A storm is brewing, and in the deceptive calm of Anmer Hall, William and Kate remain unaware that their son's special day is about to be swept into a battle they didn't choose. From afar, Meghan has drawn her bow, her arrow aimed straight at the heart of the royal family, not just to wound, but to remind them she's still a force to be reckoned with. On the morning of the baptism, as dawn's first light creeps across Norfolk's verdant fields, Anmer Hall is steeped in a rare, serene calm. In the kitchen, the aroma of freshly baked scones wafts through the air, blending with the rich scent of coffee. Kate personally brews for the staff, a small but heartfelt gesture of her thoughtfulness. Outside the clergy at St. Mary, Magdalene are ready, the altar adorned with pristine white bouquets of roses and lilies, symbols of purity and new beginnings. Catherine, elegant in a pale blue silk dress, gently brushes Louis's hair, humming a soft lullaby. Her voice is soothing as a summer breeze. "You look so handsome, my darling," she says, smiling, as Louis squirms playfully, dodging the brush. The boy in his crisp white baptismal robe looks like a little angel, blissfully unaware of the significance of his special day. But this perfect moment, like a flawless painting, is abruptly torn apart by a sudden storm, not from the clear blue sky, but from the digital world raging thousands of miles away. At precisely 9:00 a.m., the phones of William and Kate's aides erupt with urgent notifications. Screens light up with the same headline from Vanity Fair, a ticking time bomb threatening to shatter the tranquility, the time for truth. Why I was excluded from Louis's baptism, Meghan speaks out. The 1,500-word interview, written with raw emotion, reads like a heartfelt confession from Meghan Markle's soul. She recounts that in 2018, as Louis's first baptism, approached William called her privately from his Kensington Palace office. He said I was the one he trusted, that he wanted Louis to grow up with a godmother who'd inspire compassion and courage, she writes. I burst into tears hearing those words. I felt accepted, loved, like I was truly part of the family. But the story takes a darker turn. Meghan continues, her tone laced with hurt and outrage. William promised to convince Kate and others that I was worthy of this role. But Kate, with her icy demeanor, refused. She never really wanted me as part of their family. And just 2 weeks later, I received a cold email from Kensington. They said Camilla, with Charles's approval, deemed me unsuitable for the role. I was cast aside with no explanation, no chance to ask why. Meghan doesn't hesitate to name Kate, painting her as someone who always kept her distance and loved controlling every aspect of the Cambridge household. She recalls moments at royal events where Kate smiled to my face, but behind my back ensured I was excluded from key decisions. As for William, Meghan portrays him as a man torn between loyalty to his wife and a desire to do what's right, but who ultimately left me to face the royal rejection alone. These words, crafted with precision to tug at heartstrings, slice like a razor into the polished image of William and Kate the couple adored for their unity and dedication. Meghan's revelations strike global public opinion like lightning. In America, where she's built a persona as a champion of progress and equality, the reaction is explosive. Middle-aged women, especially those who've connected with her journey from Hollywood actress to royal, are quick to rally. They believe Meghan, a woman of color, was denied a sacred role due to outdated prejudice and racism. On X, millions of shares and comments demanding justice for Meghan rocket to the top trends. One user writes, "The British royals prove once again they reject diversity. Meghan deserves respect." Another is harsher, "Kate and Camilla should be ashamed. It's 2025, not the 19th century." The criticism targeting Kate with many branding, her a hypocrite hiding selfishness behind her perfect smile, spreads rapidly, shaking the image she's cultivated over a decade. Meanwhile, at Anmer Hall, the morning's peace has given way to palpable tension. Aides rush between rooms, phones buzzing incessantly, and emergency meetings are convened in the drawing room. A young aide, pale with nerves, hands a phone to William, who's standing near the chapel door, discussing the final hymn with the head priest. He glances at the headline, then skims the section where Meghan names him and Kate. For a moment, time seems to freeze. His eyes, usually calm, blaze with a rare fury. "She dares!" He mutters, his voice low, almost inaudible, his hand gripping the phone tightly. It's not shock. William has always been wary of Meghan, especially after her public criticisms of the royals. But the timing, the day his son steps into a sacred ceremony, and the way she drags Kate, the woman he cherishes most, into the crossfire. Kate, from a distance, notices the change in her husband's face. She's holding Louis's hand, guiding him inside to change his robe. But her gaze catches William's, and her heart tightens. She doesn't need to read the article to sense the gathering storm. "Is everything all right, darling?" she asks, her voice soft but laced with worry, trying to stay composed for Louis's sake. William shakes his head, signaling her to carry on with their son. He doesn't want the boy or anyone in the family caught in the tempest bearing down. But inside, a quiet pain festers as he thinks of Meghan's words about Kate, who has always strived to keep the peace even in the monarchy's darkest days. It's too late to contain the damage. Meghan's story spreads worldwide fast as wildfire, torching the serenity William and Kate so carefully crafted for Louis's big day. Even their closest guests, like Lady Laura Mead and Nicholas Van Cootsum, whisper about the interview as they arrive at the chapel. Is she telling the truth? Did Kate really do that? One asks, voice tinged with doubt. No way, William would never let that happen, without telling Kate, another murmurs, defending the couple. The sacred atmosphere of the ceremony is shrouded by a dark cloud, and though the priests sing their hymns and Louis beams innocently, the Cambridges know their special day has been stolen. In her Montecito office, Meghan sits before her computer, tracking the soaring hashtags on X with a steely gaze. She doesn't smile, but satisfaction radiates from her every feature. She knows she's ignited a war not just with the royals, but directly with William and Kate, whom she believes deliberately shut her out of their world. "They thought I'd faded away," she thinks, her fingers brushing the keyboard lightly. "But I'm still here, and I'll make sure they never forget it." The morning of Louis's 7th baptism anniversary dawned with a promise of peace. But now, as the sun climbs high over Norfolk's skies, a shadow looms over Anmer Hall. In the intimate St. Mary Magdalene Chapel, the ceremony unfolds with quiet reverence, the choir's voices harmonizing as Louis, clad in his spotless white robe, stands before the altar, his tiny hand clutching a candle. Yet the sanctity is tainted by an undercurrent of unease, a silent tension rippling among the family and close friends present. William, who maintained composure throughout the service, now stands alone in the vestry, his jaw clenched as he grapples with the news just delivered. A young aide discreetly informed him of Meghan's bombshell Vanity Fair interview, and though he hasn't read the full text, the headline alone sparks a rare rage within him. Kate, radiant as she guided Louis through the ceremony, senses the shift in her husband's mood as they return to Anmer Hall. She caught his darkened expression leaving the chapel, and her heart sinks, a familiar dread settling in. She entrusts Louis to Charlotte, asking her daughter to keep her brother busy in the garden, then hurries to the small study where she knows William waits. But before entering, she pauses in the drawing room, where an aide hands her a tablet displaying Meghan's interview. Her eyes scan the words, her pulse quickening as she reads Meghan's accusations that William chose her as a godmother, that Kate coldly vetoed it, and that the royals sidelined Meghan out of prejudice. Each word stings like a blade, not just for the lies, but for how Meghan targets her, painting her as a controlling, aloof woman. The study, with its oak-paneled walls and soft light filtering through the windows, is usually a haven, but today it's stifling the air, thick with unspoken words. Kate steps in the tablet, still in hand, her eyes sharper than usual. William stands by the window, hands clenched, staring at the garden where Louis and Charlotte play carefree. She doesn't wait for him to speak. "William," she says, her voice trembling with emotion, but firm with rare resolve. She claims you chose her as Louis's godmother. She says I stopped it. Tell me this isn't true. William turns, his gaze locking with hers, and in that instant, Kate sees not just anger, but a profound sense of betrayal. "Kate," he says, his voice low but unwavering, "I swear to you there was no call. I never considered Meghan for Louis's godmother, not ever." His sincerity eases the knot in Kate's chest, but Meghan's accusations linger like an open wound. She nods, setting the tablet down, her eyes still fixed on William, seeking one final reassurance. Without another word, William crosses to an antique wooden cabinet, unlocks a drawer, and retrieves a sealed folder marked with the date of Louis's 2018 baptism. He places it on the desk and opens it before Kate. Her eyes trace the names, each penned with care. Lady Laura Mead, her loyal friend and charity partner. Hannah Gillingham, her college confidant like a sister. Nicholas Van Cutsem, William's childhood friend and royal guardsman. Lucy Middleton, Kate's cousin, a family anchor. And Guy Pelly, William's jovial mate, approved by Kate for his steadfast loyalty. Meghan's name is absent. No notes, no revisions, no hint she was ever considered. "I never thought of her." William repeats, his voice steady, quelling any doubt. "Not once. Nor did you. This list was our choice, made together long before Louis was born. Camilla had no say and Charles wasn't consulted. Meghan's story is a lie Kate and she picked today to unleash it." Kate stands still, her hands clasped tightly to steady herself. She doesn't cry, but the way her fingers dig into her palms reveals the tempest inside. The pain isn't from Meghan's falsehood. She's grown used to distant attacks, twisted articles, baseless rumors. What cuts deepest is the calculated cruelty of the timing, an assault on their son's sacred day. Louis, with his bright laughter and boundless trust, deserved a moment untouched by the world's venom, and Meghan stole that. Kate's gaze drifts to the window where Louis and Charlotte chase each other through the lavender beds, oblivious to the chaos. "She knew how much this day meant to us," Kate whispers, her voice breaking. "She knew and still chose to hurt our son." William steps to her side, his hand resting on her shoulder, a quiet but firm gesture of unity. "We'll protect him," he says resolutely. "We'll protect them all. But we must prepare. This isn't just an article. It's an attack, and it's only the start." Kate nods, her resolve hardening, though her heart aches. She knows Meghan's words have spread, sowing doubt and division among royal watchers. The world may believe, the lies may turn against them, but in that moment, Kate vows to shield her children from the fallout, whatever the cost. As they stand together in the hushed study, the godparent file open between them, the weight of the challenge ahead presses down. Meghan's interview isn't just a story, it's a calculated bid to fracture their unity, to cast shadows over their cherished sanctuary. And though the day's ceremony has ended, the real battle has just begun, testing their strength, love, and unwavering devotion to their family. 3 days later, as the public frenzy over Meghan's interview rages on, the Telegraph launches a special feature, its bold headline proclaiming Meghan Markle in the fabrication question, the truth behind Prince Louis's baptism records. An urgent internal investigation at Clarence House involving senior aides and royal archivists digs through every email note and document tied to Louis's 2018 baptism, determined to clarify the narrative Meghan has stirred. The findings are released swiftly in an attempt to douse the spreading flames. No communication between William and Meghan regarding a godmother role ever occurred. Not a single call, email, or internal memo mentions her. Instead, investigators uncover a striking detail. In March 2018, Meghan's office, then still the Duchess of Sussex, sent a private email to Kensington Palace, proposing her consideration as Louis's godmother. The email emphasized that Meghan's involvement would symbolize unity among the new royal generation and send a positive message of harmony. Kensington's reply was brief but firm. "We appreciate the gesture. However, decisions regarding family ceremonies are reserved for members not undertaking independent public roles, such as the Duchess of Sussex." The rejection was carefully worded, impersonal, but clear enough to end the discussion. There's no evidence Camilla or Charles directly intervened, as Meghan claimed. When briefed on the investigation's results, Camilla, sipping Earl Grey in Clarence House's tea room, offers a wry smirk. She turns to Charles, who's wearily flipping through a newspaper. Someone who wasn't invited but claims they had a front row seat isn't a guest. They're an actor dreaming they're the star. She quips, her tone sharp with irony. Charles nods, uninterested in prolonging the topic. To him, this is a younger generation's issue, and he trusts William and Kate to handle it. Public sentiment, especially in Britain, begins to tilt toward the royals. Analyses in The Times and The Guardian highlight inconsistencies in Meghan's story, from her lack of evidence for William's alleged call to her portrayal of Camilla's role, which doesn't align with royal decision-making protocols. On X, millions of users voice disappointment over what they see as Meghan's publicity stunt. But just as the public believes the truth is emerging, a shocking twist upends everything like a whirlwind, scrambling the pieces. A handwritten letter, purportedly from 2018, surfaces on an obscure online forum before spreading like wildfire across X. Written on paper bearing the royal crest, its message is brief but weighty. "Dear Meghan, I've thought long and hard about this. I believe you'd be a wonderful godmother for Louis, but factors beyond my control make this impossible. I'm truly sorry. William." William's signature, bold and decisive, seems unmistakable. The letter's image is shared millions of times, fueling heated debates from both sides. Meghan's supporters rejoice, declaring it undeniable proof of her truth. They tried to cover it up, but the truth always finds a way, one ex-user writes posting the letter. In America, morning talk shows scramble to feature handwriting experts, many claiming the signature is identical to William's public documents. In Britain, reactions are skeptical. Many question how such a letter could exist when Kensington's records contradict it. Veteran journalists like the Daily Mail's Robert Lacey label it a sophisticated media ploy, though they lack concrete evidence. Kensington Palace, facing mounting pressure, declines to comment directly on the letter. Instead, they issue a concise statement. "All documents related to Prince Louis's baptism have been transparently disclosed. We have no further comment on unverified information," but their silence, rather than quelling rumors, only fuels them. On X, theories abound. Is the letter real but suppressed by the royals? Or is it a forgery to bolster Meghan's narrative? In the dim light of Anmer Hall, Kate sits alone in her study, the desk lamp casting a soft glow on her weary face. She studies the letter's image on her computer, zooming in on William's signature, searching for a telltale flaw, a stray stroke, an odd detail. But the more she looks, the more a gnawing unease grows within her. Not because she doubts William, she trusts him, trusts his words, but the letter, real or fake, reopens old wounds, memories of days when the royal family was torn by distant accusations. Kate knows that even if the truth prevails, this saga won't end easily. Public pressure, like an unstoppable tidal wave, forces American media outlets, once staunchly behind Meghan, with fervent support, to dig deeper into the story she stirred. Major papers like the New York Times and the Washington Post, which initially hailed her Vanity Fair interview as a bold accusation, now raise questions. They dispatch independent investigative teams, poring over Kensington Palace communication logs and 2018 public records. But the decisive blow comes from an unexpected source, an anonymous interview with the Los Angeles Herald, where a former 2018 media aide to Meghan breaks their silence. The aide, voice trembling but resolute, drops a bombshell. She knew full well she wasn't on the godmother list. No one ever mentioned it, not William, not Kate, not anyone at Kensington. But before July this year, she told us in a private meeting, "I'm going to make them pay on Louis's baptism day." It wasn't a spontaneous remark. It was a carefully planned move. This confession, like a stone cast into still water, sends ripples far and wide, shattering the trust of those who once stood by Meghan. The phrase "make them pay" becomes a headline across British papers, from the Daily Mail to the Sun, emblazoned in bold baptism day. Plot or personal PR stunt media? Analysts dissect Meghan's interview with unprecedented scrutiny, pointing out subtle but telling inconsistencies. Her description of a private call with William, unsupported by call logs or witnesses. Her emphasis on Camilla's role in the rejection, despite Camilla's lack of authority over Louis's ceremonies. And her emotional claim of bursting into tears at the offer, a detail seemingly added for sympathy. A Times journalist writes, "This isn't an accusation rooted in truth. It's a story crafted for a grander purpose: attention." American public opinion, once ablaze with hashtags like "cannot justice for Meghan," begins to fracture. A new wave surges on X, with Russia manipulated by Meghan climbing to top trends in hours. Women who once championed Meghan, especially those who saw her as a symbol of progress, feel betrayed. An X user identifying as a longtime fan writes, "I cried reading her story, thinking she was wronged by the royals. Now I feel fooled, dragged into a game I didn't sign up for." Another is blunter. "Meghan isn't fighting for justice. She's fighting for the spotlight." At Anmer Hall, Kate opts for silence, a powerful silence like a fortress wall against the storm of misinformation. She avoids public appearances, grants no interviews, and posts no rebuttals on Kensington Palace's social media. But those close to her reveal she spent hours in her small study, where lamplight illuminates stacks of 2018 documents. She reviews every email, every note, as if seeking answers, not just for the public, but for her own heart. A close friend in an anonymous Times piece shares, "She doesn't need to speak." Kate's silence amid this flood of lies is her strongest defiance. It says she won't play this game, won't stoop to counter falsehoods. As for the mysterious letter, the document that sent public opinion into a frenzy, with its alleged William signature, a thorough Guardian investigation lays bare the truth. Handwriting and digital imaging experts confirm the signature, though strikingly similar, is a product of sophisticated photo editing technology. Minute details like the smoothness of strokes and uneven ink distribution betray its forgery. The poster is traced to an anonymous California account, but no direct link to Meghan or her team is found. Still, the revelation deepens public skepticism about her motives. A BBC commentator notes, "This fake letter doesn't just damage Meghan's credibility, it shows how far someone was willing to go to keep this story alive." In Montecito, Meghan sits in her office, her computer screen displaying a barrage of articles and X comments. She offers no further statements, no responses to the accusations, but her eyes, usually sharp and confident, now betray a hint of exhaustion. She knows the story she so carefully constructed is crumbling piece by piece under the glare of truth. As the media storm reaches its zenith, the atmosphere at Anmer Hall grows heavy, though the lavender garden still basks in the golden glow of a summer afternoon. Camilla, as head of Clarence House, calls an urgent meeting in London in a stately room adorned with ancient portraits. She proposes a startling idea. Rather than postponing Louis's 7th baptism anniversary, a sacred event already held quietly at St. Mary Magdalene, she suggests curtailing all public activities tied to it to avoid further controversy and safeguard the royal image. She argues that with public opinion roiling and newspapers relentlessly digging, any images or details from the ceremony could be twisted into a political spectacle. But when this proposal reaches Anmer Hall, Kate, in a rare moment of public steel, rejects it outright. She stands in Anmer Hall's drawing room, her gaze unwavering as she faces William, who listens in silence. "This is our son's day," she says, her voice quivering with emotion but resolute. "We held the ceremony for Louis, and no one, not a single article, not a single lie will overshadow that moment." William, still nursing quiet anger from recent days, places a hand on her shoulder, nodding. He understands that for Kate, the ceremony wasn't just a ritual, it was a declaration that their family will not bow to external storms. Rather than let the media feast on Meghan's narrative, Kate chooses to keep all ceremony details private, sharing only an intimate moment at Anmer Hall with family and their closest circle. No reporters, no cameras, no trace of the outside world. In the lavender garden under soft sunlight, Kate and William sit with their children, Louis on his mother's lap, holding a small candle, his eyes sparkling like stars. George and Charlotte stand nearby, beaming brightly as if shielding their brother from any turmoil. William, though, still harboring resentment, grips his wife's hand, his eyes conveying a wordless vow they will overcome this together. A week later, as sensational headlines still echo across newspapers and social media, Kensington Palace quietly releases an official photo from Louis's 7th baptism anniversary. Captured in Anmer Hall's sun-drenched garden, it's a silent testament to resilience. Louis, with an innocent smile, sits in his mother's embrace, holding a tiny white candle, its flame reflecting on his face, dispelling the darkness of recent days. Kate, in an elegant white silk dress, holds her son tightly, her gaze tender yet steadfast, as if declaring to the world that nothing can shake her family. William stands beside them, one hand gently on George's shoulder, the other clasping Charlotte's, his smile weary but resolute. The photo carries no statement, no caption, but its message outshines any speech. The Cambridge family stands strong, undaunted by the storm. But Kate knows the saga isn't over. That night in her small study, she sits alone, penning a brief but weighty announcement: "I need time to focus on my family and the values I hold dearest." The next morning, Kensington Palace sends it out, declaring Kate's indefinite withdrawal from royal duties. No one knows if this is temporary or a lasting shift, but Britain buzzes with reaction. Some praise her strength and family-first choice, with the Telegraph dubbing her a beacon of calm in the tempest. Others fear it signals a monarchy facing deeper divisions than ever. In America, the tide has turned. Meghan's Vanity Fair interview, once a public sensation, is removed from the main page, replaced by a curt note. Content is under review to ensure factual standards. Major media partners from CBS to glossy magazines cancel interviews with her. Podcasts slated to air episodes titled "The Rejected Godmother" quietly pull back, citing concerns over accuracy. For the first time in months, Meghan stays utterly silent. No X posts, no counter-interviews, no status updates. Some journalists speculate she's biding her time for a new move, but analysts who've tracked her from Hollywood to royalty believe she's realized she's gone too far. The rejected godmother tale not only failed to topple the royals, but cost her the trust of those who once adored her. On X, countless scathing comments from former fans: "She used us as pawns," one writes. "I thought she stood for change, but now I see only selfishness." In Montecito, a quiet morning settles over Meghan's modern villa. California sunlight streams through vast glass windows, gleaming on the polished wood floor, where a small parcel rests neatly on the dining table. Meghan, in a light sweater, opens it with a mix of curiosity and caution. Inside is a handwritten card, simple cream paper, no envelope, no postmark, just a single line in black ink written in an elegant, forceful hand. "Thank you for reminding us what matters most." No signature, no sender's name. But Meghan instantly recognizes the handwriting Kate's from brief notes exchanged in their royal days. She reads the line again, her fingers tightening on the card, not with emotion, but with a surge of irritation. Meghan tosses the card onto the table, her lips pressed thin. She feels no peace or gratitude in the message. To her, it's Kate's final jab, a reminder that her meticulously planned scheme has collapsed, that she failed to rattle the Cambridge family. Every line of her interview, every word chosen to stir public outcry, now lies in ashes under the light of truth. Kate, with her silence and steadfastness, has triumphed without uttering a single attack. Meghan steps onto her balcony, gazing at the ocean, glittering under the sunset. But her eyes hold no trace of reflection or hope. Only simmering anger mixed with a bitter sting, realizing she underestimated her adversary in this battle. At Anmer Hall, as night falls, a warm glow envelops the manor. In Louis's bedroom, the soft light of a bedside lamp casts a gentle halo, illuminating his hand-drawn pictures. Kate sits by his bed, an open fairy tale book in hand, her voice softly weaving tales of knights, princesses, and magic. Louis, curled in his blanket, listens with drooping eyes, but at each story's climax, he giggles his clear laughter, a melody that banishes all sorrow. "Mummy read more. Tomorrow," he whispers, drifting to sleep. Kate smiles, kisses his forehead, and quietly turns off the light. She steps out, pausing in the hallway, where family photos hang neatly. There's one from Sandringham capturing her and William hand in hand on their wedding day, another of George's first school day, his oversized backpack dwarfing him, And the latest from Louis's baptism, the family radiant in the sunlit garden. Kate touches the frame lightly, her heart swelling with indescribable peace. Whatever the world says, whatever storms the media unleashes, she knows her family is her safest harbor, and she'll defend it at all costs. Louis's 7th baptism anniversary, though shrouded in controversy, has become an unforgettable milestone in British royal history. It lays bare the deep cracks among royal family members, wounds never fully healed since Meghan's departure. Yet it also showcases the power of silence and steadfastness. Kate, with her temporary retreat, sends a clear message that family is the ultimate refuge no matter the tempest. William, though, once consumed by anger, chooses to stand by his wife and children, protecting them rather than diving into a futile media war. And Louis, the carefree boy in his white robe, becomes a symbol of purity, a reminder that amid the divide between truth and lies, simple, beautiful things are still worth cherishing. And Meghan, perhaps she got what she sought, the world's attention, if only for a moment. But the cost was the trust of those who once loved her and a rift with the royals beyond repair. In California's sunset, standing on her balcony overlooking the endless ocean, a silent question echoes in her mind. Was it all worth it? She has no answer, but her gaze, fixed on the horizon, carries a hint of unease, as if searching for a new path, a fresh start. Where do you stand with Kate guarding her family with steadfast silence, or Meghan fighting to make her voice heard? Who truly won this royal showdown? Share your thoughts with us, we'd love to hear.